you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. I'm so excited to introduce you all to my first guest today on this series. And this is the time period when so many people are going through, career changes, job changes, relationship changes, relocation changes. There's just so much happening, but it's never too late to start and begin again. And we're going to hear this story from my guest today, how after 40 years of being a teacher, Peggy Bell, and after retirement, she knew there was still more to do with her life. She continued her love for writing while also becoming a certified empowerment coach for women in midlife. So, don't feel like you need to retire at a certain age and do what, right? She decided it was also a good time to go after the dream that she had on the back burner for many years, even though it was still a big fear of hers. And that dream was public speaking. Today, her business, Live Your Purpose, encompasses her coaching, writing, speaking, and online courses. Peggy is a firm believer and living proof of three things. You can go after your dreams when you have the right mindset. You can find your message within your mess if you look hard enough. Life is too short to live with regrets or a life not true to who you really are. Welcome to the show today, Peggy.
Hello, Cornelia. How are you?
I'm really, really good. And I love that we're going to be having this conversation. Everything that you shared is, so spot on today with so much change that's happening. And anyone can relate at any given point in time, whether it's retirement or job changes or something that they've always wanted to do, but have held themselves back with the message of what you're talking about, that life is short, to hold yourself back from not living your dream.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
So you were a teacher 40 years in the system,
Yes, I sure was.
and I bet you've changed a lot of lives.
I hope I did. I heard, from quite a few students that I did. So that was so rewarding when I still hear from students that I taught from years ago.
Yes. And so aren't you glad that, that because nowadays, from what I hear from people nowadays that are teachers, it's really not that good to be a teacher in the system today.
It has definitely changed from the times, when I first started teaching and the students would come into class and they were kind of nervous to meet their teacher and, everything was quiet. And, over the years, it just evolved and it's nothing like that anymore. Teaching is different. And I have so much respect for teachers and educators, especially through this pandemic and how they just had to kind of plow their way through the unknown because nobody really had been accustomed to doing anything like that before. And those that are still in the trenches and getting through it, I just have the utmost admiration for them.
Yeah, they were definitely really being put, through the ringer, just like the first responders were also.
Exactly.
There was just, that was really hard on a lot of people, especially people that that are out there in the field. That then it was hard on the parents too, because the parents all of a sudden when they had to figure out how to do Zoom and homeschool their children and do all of that. So there was just a lot that this pandemic has brought,
I
to.
think for a lot of parents, it made them appreciate teachers more, especially trying to get through subjects they weren't accustomed to doing. And it was just an awakening all the way around, I believe.
Yeah. So what did you teach? You were an English teacher or?
Yes, I taught reading all through these years. When I taught first grade and kindergarten, it was self-contained, so I had all of the subjects. But when I did more departmentalized, it was always language arts. My love for reading and writing, that's where my passion was.
So you're still reading and writing.
I'm
You're
still
still
reading and writing.
you're still
Exactly.
reading and writing, and you love that because that's natural for you. It's a passion for you, right? And
Exactly.
then when you retired, then you decided that I there's more to life. Like I want to do more. So what got you going with the empowerment coaching for women in midlife? Like how did that dream become realized?
Well, I didn't even know about the coaching world. To me, coaching was a PE coach because I had been in that education field for so long. I had never even heard of that. And then when I retired, and silly me thought I couldn't wait to retire and just sit back and do nothing. Well, that lasted a few months, and I thought, there's more to life than this. And the calling I had, the purpose I knew I had in life was not just to sit there, for the rest of my life. There was still some things that I needed to do. And teaching was always my passion. I started to write my first nonfiction book, and it was for widows because I had become a widow myself.
Oh,
And it was through that time that the idea of life coaching entered my realm of possibility. I started looking, when I first heard about it, I started looking at it and realized that it really does go with writing and it would be a good fit. And so I went ahead and got my certification in life coaching. And then it was from there, I became my first client because I
right.
had so many limiting beliefs and I had the low self confidence and everything else that so many of us have. And so I did a total transformation. And it was from that transformation that I went after the dream of public speaking, something that was my biggest fear, but it was also a big dream of mine. I put it on the back burner all those years ago, and but it kept latching on. The more I thought about it, the more I knew I had to do it. And it was after I went through that transformation, I had this self confidence to say, okay, if not now, when? And so I went after it. So that's how I tie in now the life coaching and the speaking and the writing all together.
Yeah, I think that's fabulous. And so, have you developed programs for women that you're coaching now, women in midlife? So, because, we were trained and conditioned to, work at a job like for 40 years and then retire. And then, that was like always the story that was told. That
Right.
doesn't resonate at all with, the next generation, the new generation of, have as many jobs as you possibly can to find out who it is that you are. Do as many things that, what's your passion? You know, that's the thing. And, if you're doing what it is that you love, there's no need to retire.
Yeah, because it's not work. Um, I don't set an alarm in the morning. That part of me is over, but I get up and do what I love every day, and that's what keeps me going. Is just the love for what I do.
Right. And so have you developed any, like, so with your coaching, what is it that you do? Do you have a program that you take people through? Did you develop this program or is it through your life coaching program?
I developed it, and the one of the courses that I teach is finding your missing life puzzle pieces. Because when you go through a traumatic event or a life changing event, which you envision your life to be, no longer is the possibility. And it's like, I equated to a puzzle that you're putting together. And as the pieces are going, you start to see what it's going to look like. And suddenly this life changing event happens. And it's like the puzzle pieces have just been tossed and pieces have been lost, and you don't even recognize it anymore.
Mm.
And so it's up to us to go and find the new pieces to our puzzle. And it may not look anything like what you had envisioned before, but it can be sometimes even better than you ever thought possible.
Yes. I
So
think
that's
that
one of the courses that I do teach. And the
oh,
other course is my signature course that I call the Bell Approach. And that's with the book that I had released this year in March. I kind of introduced it, and then I have a book that's soon to be released, probably January or February, that's going to go into more detail on the Bell Approach, and that's going to be the transformation course, the big signature course that I teach.
that's great. So do you have what's the name of your website?
PeggyMBell.com.
PeggyMBell.com. Jacob, can you pull that up? PeggyMBell.com, and just kind of show it to the audience that's looking there,
Okay.
just so that they can see it. You and I won't be able to see it, Peggy, but they
Okay.
can. That they can see it, and just so that they can see where to go.
Okay.
I think what you're doing there with what you've offered now with your book writing. Did you publish? Is it self-published, or do you have a publishing company?
I started with a publishing company, but I was writing children's books at the time. And then, so the last, I think this is my sixth or seventh book, I kind of forget, but uh, I'm now into nonfiction and I'm self publishing that.
Okay, do you mind sharing what platform you're using to
I'm
self?
using KDP with Amazon.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you're happy with that?
Yes, I am. Right now, for the first time, I'm working with a writing coach who's getting me to, we're working hard at becoming international
Oh yeah.
sales and an international seller. So it's the first time to work with a writing coach. And so um, they're working, I've got the editing done and they're working on my cover mock-ups so we can go through them. So um, it's exciting because I'm still learning things after all these years of writing. There's always something to learn.
I mean, that's amazing. You're an English teacher, you know how to write. I mean, here I am, right? I came to the United States when I was 13 years old. I didn't go to school here, so I taught myself pretty much how to read and write. So, can you imagine? I did publish a book too, and I did write a book. And by the way, um, writing a book for me was like one of the hardest things that I ever did. And not just writing it, but also completing it. Just my grammar isn't the same as English writing. So, and when you don't have that training, this wasn't something that I look for, so that wasn't something that I knew. So I can't be trusted when it comes to grammar, spelling. That grammar, I always have to have everybody right now has to always check everything I'm doing because and I put out a lot of stuff all the time, but uh,
But I think, when it comes to books, I think everybody needs an editor because in your mind, you're saying what should be there, but it's so easy to overlook words or a comma or, grammatical errors. So, and the first book that I wrote, I remember I edited it. My daughter, who at the time was a college newspaper editor, she edited it, and the publishing company had their own editor. And we still found some mistakes,
wow,
in the book.
yeah.
So it's so common that, everybody does go with editing
And you
professional.
have to have a team. You have to have a team. Without the team, forget about it. It's just, all the way
Right.
around. That's why having a coach, working with a coach is so powerful because you have somebody that's on your team, somebody that's guiding you, that's supporting you, and that's helping you. That's really, cool when you have somebody
Right.
that's looking over your work that's helping you move forward.
And the
So
whole idea of a coach is just somebody that's a few steps ahead of you who's been there and can help you tackle whatever it is that you are trying to, whether it's writing or life coaching or health coaching, whatever. So yeah, I'm thrilled with the coach that I have.
So I'm curious, what does your daughter think about your transformation? Like over the last, like how many years has it been since the time you got certified, went through the whole process? 10 years or?
No, it's actually just been about 3.5.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, I was determined to register my business before my 60th birthday, just to show that age,
Doesn't
is
matter.
not a barrier. And I did that right before my 60th birthday. And that's when I started with the coaching. And so it's almost 4 years.
Oh, okay. So, and what does your daughter think about your transformation? Is she like amazed at you? Like,
I have two daughters, and they
okay,
both are. Um, they are always telling me would how strong-willed I am and dedicated, and they come to me for advice, and
that's
I
gotta
take
make
that
you,
as I take that as a big compliment that they look up to me as their role model. So that's the biggest compliment that I can have.
because normally it's the opposite. Like what,
Yeah,
yeah, because the kids don't want to go back to ask mom for advice, but when they've
yeah,
seen how you transformed and changed some of your limiting beliefs and what you're doing, the legacy that you're leaving behind, the legacy that you're building and what you're doing for them, and that they can see that too. So, and that's really inspiring, them. So that's got to feel really good.
yeah, it does. And my youngest daughter is a clinical psychologist, so that's
Oh,
really a compliment to come from her. That she will send me texts sometimes saying, Mom, thank you for raising me the way that you did, um, or thank you for being the type of person that doesn't quit. So. Um, and my other daughter too, is always complimenting me, and that's, like I said, that's the biggest reward.
you're so blessed. You're
I
so
am
blessed.
very blessed.
You're so blessed, and you're going to have your daughter come home for the holidays. And so, you guys, is just one coming or are they both coming?
One lives with me, and
Oh,
the other one is coming. So we'll all be together. So that's
oh,
going to be
that's
great. It doesn't happen often.
no. And it's, no, the warmth that of what you're speaking of, the hope of what you're talking about, that and what you're doing, your determination and your, goals that you've set for yourself, how you're not holding yourself back. You do know that the 60 is the new 40. You do know that, right? That you
Yes.
have been told this, right?
And I feel it. I'm happier now than I was when I was 40, just because I released so many of those limiting beliefs. I released that fear of trying. I
Mm.
released that fear of trying to move past my comfort zone because I found the opportunities that were waiting past that.
Yeah, that's so great. I love, how many people on the planet, lots of, I don't know what the stat is, but I used to know what it is, but I don't remember what it is. But the fear of public speaking, I know I was one. So I know, like, that's like the number one, thing that people fear is public speaking. I really feel like it has something to do with a past life memory, if you believe in reincarnation and past life cell trauma memory when we've lost our lives for public speaking or whatever. But um, this is one of the ways that I overcame public speaking, the fear of public speaking myself, is that I had that fear also. So I relate to what you're talking about. And what I did in order to overcome that fear is I would organize events and put on retreats where I would actually have to show up and be the speaker. And
Yes.
initially in the beginning, in the first, I remember I was standing up there shaking, my body was shaking, I was shaking, my throat was shaking. um and this was like 10 years ago, maybe more than that. But so where are you speaking nowadays, aside from talking on a podcast and interviews? Are you doing stage presentations as well?
I haven't been in it since before COVID. So
Okay.
I'm looking to um, get back for the new year to see if I can get on some stages again.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah, we lost my father back in February of this year, and before that, I was going off and out of state to help take care of him. So I was limited to what I could do and how far in advance I could book things. So this year that's my goal, to really see how many stages I can get on.
Good. Well, I know for sure that you're going to get booked because, you're going to do it. You're not letting anything stop you from living your life. So it's just setting those goals. And when we have the tools, this is the thing. That's why it's so powerful to work with a coach, because when we have the tools and we set the goals, we know we're not going to sabotage.
Mm.
We know we're not going to hold back. We know how to process the fears. We know how to do these things. That's why working with a coach is so powerful, because then you can get booked on stages. Then you can go and do the things that you want to do because there's really nothing holding you back from doing
Yeah,
it.
it's just having the blueprint or the map to take you there. And
Yes. Yes. So that's wonderful. So next year, your goal is to get booked on stages. Obviously, it sounds like you're going to be publishing your how many books have you written?
I think it's number 7. I think it's
Okay, wow, number 7. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So congratulations on that. It looks
Thank
like
you.
you've come a long way, and there's so many wonderful uh, successes to celebrate this holiday season.
Yes. One of the things too, when I lost my first husband back in 2009, that really made me realize how short life was, and
Mm.
how we shouldn't just take for granted and put things on the back burner and say, I'll get to it later, because one day later is not going to be an option. And that was a rude awakening for me. And so that changed my whole outlook on things too. That was before I went through the transformation, but I had that in the back of my mind that, if I don't go for it now, when will I? Because I saw how life can be so short. And it was kind of my way to honor him too, because he loved life so much. And it was like, I didn't want his death to be in vain. I wanted to be able to honor him some kind of way. And he loved watching me write. He loved reading my stories. And so that's why I continued writing.
Yeah, and are your books on Amazon?
Yes, they are. They
Uh,
are on Amazon.
you want to? So is it under Peggy Bell on
It's
Amazon?
under Peggy Bell. Yeah, you can
You can
actually
sell
go
books
into
on
there and
Amazon. Yeah,
yeah, and they'll come up there.
yeah.
But the one that came was released this past March is called Midlife Season to Perfection. It's not a crisis; it's an opportunity. And
Hmm.
it's all about, we hear about midlife crisis, and how it's a bad thing. And it can actually be a good thing, because you have more time. You have time to go after what I call those back burner dreams. It's what happened to me. I had the empty nest, and I was retired, and I had time on my hands, and that dream of public speaking just wouldn't go away. And some dreams were no longer important to me, and I just released them. But for that dream, it was like, I want to be able to do this. I want to do it. And so I just went with it. I just kept doing it until finally I said, I'm always going to be nervous, but that's part of the course.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. I want to tell the audience your website one more time.
PeggyMBell.com. And there's a guide in there that I would love for you to take advantage of and download, about increasing your self confidence.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Peggy. The audience, I want you guys to go download our app at the App Store, KS Media, Media group app downloaded at the App Store, Play Store. Create your free account and go in there and answer the universal question. So there's a ton of podcasts and there's all kinds of wonderful tools and tips on how to live your best life. And we want to talk to you Peggy, about being featured in our app as a founding member. So, but we'll talk to you about that off air. But
Okay.
everybody, go get the app and go download it, and then we'll see you next time. Stay tuned right now for the one and only Diane McClay show coming up right here after this show. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.